Hey you guys, so today's going to be really kind of interesting because one, I am still super sick. Like, I'm wearing a hoodie. I feel like crap. I am not doing well at all. Still sick. It's gorgeous outside. It's beautiful, but I still feel like death. But today we get to play with the Naked Reloaded palette. I took a glance at a few videos on this. It seems like a lot of the major YouTubers are kind of skipping over this one, and I can understand why a lot of people were upset when they got rid of the original one and kind of went meh when they looked at this palette. I tend to have a soft spot for palettes that other people don't tend to like this one, Smashbox Full Exposure. This one has a really mixed reviews. I freaking love it. I think it's excellent. So I was debating on whether to pick this up, and I finally went and picked it up because I'm like, you know what? I have so many neutrals palettes that one more is not going to make a huge difference. And to be honest, I like the packaging. I think the packaging is really unique for what's out there right now. This is of course what the main outer carton looks like, and then you open it up and this is the packaging, and it's actually a fabric packaging. It feels like a satin. It's very different from what's like typical fabric packaging. Like typically it's either like the Anastasia palettes where you have the velvet touch. I really like this. It's really pretty. I think it's beautiful. I love the spine of it because a lot of us organize our palettes by the spine. I actually have mine in like a document organizer right now, but I just need to start lining them up like bookcases or bookshelf, like books in a bookshelf. Can I talk? Because I have so many. This one's also very small and slim. I want to hold this up next to, here we go. This is like your standard size Too Faced chocolate bar packaging. This is a little bit longer and a little bit thinner. Just to give you an idea of the size, I like that it's padded. The fabric in here is padded, which is really nice. I think this would travel really well. Like all of us love the super slim, super sleek packaging, but I'm always nervous to go anywhere or like throw those palettes in a bag because I'm like terrified something's going to happen to them. So we're gonna go ahead and open this up. And this is what it looks like. It has a film over the mirror. I actually love that this film is like a matte and not a see-through. And I'm going to leave it on because it makes it so much easier to show you guys colors. Now this will bend back fully. This is a huge thing for me in palettes lately. I cannot stand when you can only open a palette part way and then like it stays. This one opens all the way, which is very convenient. And then here is the main part of the palette. It's a very shiny finish on the outside with almost like this texture. It's got a little crosshatch texture on it. And then as you can see, some people haven't been looking at this closely and have only said that the outer two colors are really larger pans. It's actually the outer four are larger pans. These two are the largest. These two are the next largest, and then all the rest are the same because those are the colors they are assuming you will use the most. Honestly, looking at this right off the bat, I wish they had made retro a larger pan because I can tell you right now, that's the color I'm going to go nuts for. I love peachy pinks. Would I have picked this palette up if it did not have retro in it? Probably not, because that color is gorgeous and I'm just all over peachy pinks lately. So I'm going to go ahead and swatch these for you guys. I have a nice clean dry arm. I'm going to turn down my light just a little bit. There we go. That way you can see the colors better. So the first one we have is Bribe. This is our light, I guess you would say nude tone. It's not really nude unless you're as pale as I am. Okay, the next shade we have is Barely Baked. This is a soft gold. Then we have Angel Fire. This looks like it would be really pretty as a highlight. This is Angel Fire. If I keep like pulling my arm and looking back to see where I placed the last swatch, it's because I don't have a screen to work off of. I just have the little tiny screen on top of my camera. So here is our next shade. This is Retro. It's just a really pretty peachy pink. Then we have Reputation. Next is Burn. Ooh, okay. That's really pretty. That nice dark copper, I like that. Now we have Endgame. That looks like a matte brown. Then we have Dreamweaver, which is very glittery. It's weird because it's like a matte with a glitter and it feels very, very rough. I don't know how I feel about that formulation. We'll have to see how it looks on the eyes. I mean, it swatches pretty, but it's definitely chunky. And here's Distilled. And now our last three are Bucked, Boundaries, and right on my elbow, Blur. So that is our entire palette. So first impressions so far, finger swatches beautifully, really, really pretty colors. I love the color selection. I think they did a really nice job with this. Now, I cannot compare this to the original Naked palette because I never owned the original Naked palette. When I got into makeup, it was bright colors or nothing. Like, I would not touch like a neutral brown eyeshadow for anything. However, having green eyes, I've found that often a neutrals palette can really, really make my eyes pop. Now, this one is, I will say, a really nice mix. You've got some cooler tones, you've got some warmer tones, you've got some like straight out neutrals. This is a really nice mix in a palette. So I'm kind of excited to play with this. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it yet because, let's be honest, I never do. I just kind of jump in and play. So today I'm just going to prime my eyes using my ColourPop No Filter Concealer. Can you guys hear my voice? It's getting worse already. Oh, I cannot believe this. Like, I got sick back in January, but it only lasted a few days. This is like the absolute longest I've been sick in a really long time. Normally, I get over stuff really fast, but no. That actually reminds me I need to take like a vitamin C packet when I'm done filming. All right, so eyes are primed. I have a whole stack of freshly cleaned brushes. I think I'm just going to have to go straight in with Retro. I've been dying to play with this color. Now, I will say, these seem much softer than typical Urban Decay shadows. Like, can you guys see that? It's just, whoa. Okay, let me do, yeah, that's behaving much more like an Anastasia palette, to be honest. So I'm curious to see what the formula is like. I do have the Urban Decay Naked. Oh, that color. Ooh, okay. I do have the Naked Heat palette, and I also have the Vice 2 palette. And then I have some shadows that I pulled from like a palette they did like years and years ago. I can't even remember what one. I used to tend to steer away from Urban Decay shadows because they were so hard. But that's pretty, and that blended out really, really nice. Ooh, okay, I want Retro in a single pan. I need Retro in a single pan. This color, I don't know why, just peachy pinks. Completely ridiculously obsessed with them. That blends out really, really nicely. Okay. I'm happy with that. Now I'm taking a slightly smaller brush. All the brushes I'm using are either Morphe or Real Techniques, and then I've got like one Anastasia and then one brush from like another random palette if I need to use it. But next I'm going into Bucked. And I'm trying to say that word very, very clearly so we don't have an issue in translation with like auto captions and stuff. Okay, that's really pretty. It blends out well. And on the outer corner, I'm going to take Endgame. I want to be careful with this one because it looks super dark. Whoa, that's dark. Okay, I was right. Yeah, these are definitely very pigmented. And I'm not seeing a ton of fallout yet, which is really, really good. But these are definitely very pigmented. So if you typically are used to working with Urban Decay shadows and you like go into the palette hard, you're going to want to go in with a much, much more delicate hand this time. Taking my larger brush to just kind of fluff that out because I don't want to lose that pretty peach tone. Now, I will say that looks a little bit different on the eye than it does in the pan. In the pan, it looks chocolate brown, while on the eye, it definitely looks more of a neutral tone brown, like almost touching on like a charcoal shade. So that's interesting. I would have thought it would have stayed more chocolatey, like more warm tone, but it definitely went towards more of a charcoal. All right, now I'm going to grab this little flat brush I have. This is actually from a Mayron face painting kit, which I never use this brush for face painting, but it's the best one I have for cutting a crease. Now, I've never tried cutting a crease with the ColourPop liner before, so this is new, but we're going to give it a shot. And I'm just tapping that to help dry it down a bit. Okay, that was actually way easier to do than when I typically cut a crease with the Tarte Shape Tape. I think because the formulation's a little bit thinner, but it didn't like fly all over the place. Now, of course, my cut crease, the way I do it, tends to disappear into my lid fold. You could bring it higher if you wanted. I'm not feeling super, super dramatic. Okay, let's not lie. I'm feeling very dramatic today, but I do not have the energy to do super dramatic today. So this is what we've got. I'm going to go into Reputation because that is pretty. And I'm just going to pack that right along that center. You know what? That's really pretty, but I want to see what it would look like wet. So I'm taking Fix Plus, loading up the brush, and just unlocking my Fix Plus. So that definitely makes it more metallic. That's really pretty. Sorry guys if I keep pausing and stuff seems disjointed. I'm having trouble breathing. Now I'm going in with a tiny brush and I'm going into Angel Fire. And I'm just doing this on the inner corner of that lid. Oh, that's pretty. You know what? I want to put... There we go. Okay, Reputation looks better when it's applied with a finger than with a brush. A brush almost makes it look too flat, like it loses the dimension. And then I'm just going to feather that out. There we go. That looks better. Seriously, play around with your makeup application. If you typically use a brush, play with your fingers, you know, try something different and you may get different results. Okay, I will say that this ColourPop concealer is the easiest thing I've ever used to do a cut crease with. Oh my goodness. Okay, now I'm going to skip the screwing around and take Reputation right on my finger and pat it in. Yeah, okay, much easier. There we go. So for some of the metallic shades, you're going to just want to go in straight with your finger and it will really make it easier to apply. And I'm also going to take Angel Fire on my pinky and go straight in. This is dangerous with longer nails, you guys. Yeah, okay, so these are definitely shadows that apply better with your fingers than they do with a brush. So that is something to keep in mind. If you don't like using your fingers to apply your makeup, you may not love that. If you're like me and you tend to get really hands-on, yeah, I know, I had to do it. I had to throw a pun in there. If you don't mind getting messy and hands-on and playing with your makeup and getting it all over your hands, then this palette would be really, really nice for you because those colors really, really look gorgeous when you work with them with your hands. There's a teensy bit of fallout, so I'm just going to grab a brush, especially considering my under eyes aren't set with powder or anything, it's just straight concealer. So that actually cleaned up really easily. The only thing I can see that is bugging me is on this eye, some of the retro disappeared while I was blending. So I'm just going to go in with a tiny bit of that on the tip of this brush and just work it back in. And then this side's pretty good. For highlight, I'm just going to grab Bribe on the same shape or on the same little brush. I like that Bribe's kind of like almost like a satin. It's not super shimmery, but it still makes for a really pretty highlight, especially if you're doing a heavily highlighted inner corner. I'm going to use this just under my brow bone as well. All right, so I want to just define my lash line a bit more, so I'm going in with my Marc Jacobs highliner in the shade Earthquake. Why does my phone still ding with text messages when I put it on vibrate? Does anyone else do that? And how do I fix it? Please, how do I fix it? Oh. All right, so I'm just curling my lashes real quick. And I'm going in with my L'Oreal Unlimited mascara. So I'm actually really surprised and pleased with this palette so far. I didn't think I would be, to be honest. I was kind of worried, kind of concerned. Typically, if a palette isn't like mentioned by everybody, it's not that great. But I'm actually impressed with this. The only thing I will say is some of the shimmery shades, just from swatching and working with them, do have a lot of fallout. But that is fairly common, so it's not a huge deal. I am going to go in with Retro again underneath my lash line, just using this little brush. I'm actually taking this fairly far down today. And now I'm grabbing a flat eyeliner brush and I'm taking Endgame and just pressing that right in along my lower lash line. That way I have Endgame right at my lash line and you can just see Retro peeking out from underneath it. And you can always go back in and add a little bit more Retro if you want. I love this color. This is probably going to be a new unhealthy obsession with a color because it's so pretty. And then I'm just taking my tiny teensy little eyeshadow brush. I'm going to spray this with some Fix Plus and go back into Angel Fire and grab some of that. And just put that, yep, oh, that's pretty. Right underneath that bottom lash line. I would not recommend trying this without wetting your brush first because you are likely to end up with glitter everywhere. But that is so pretty. And I'm just going to connect that around to the inner corner a little bit. Oh, that is really pretty. All right, you guys, here is the finished look. I'm actually really impressed with this. I like this palette a lot. I only got into a few of the shades. We used Bribe, Angel Fire, Retro, Reputation, Endgame, and Bucked. We really didn't touch with any of the other ones yet. I really want to play with Boundaries and Dreamweaver. I think those would be gorgeous together. I also wouldn't mind bringing in like a blue tone to play with Dreamweaver a little bit, and Barely Baked looks gorgeous as well, but I'm really impressed. These shades blended very, very well. They're very pretty. We'll see how the wear goes. I'm sure it's fine. Urban Decay shadows tend to wear really, really well, and overall, I'm fairly happy with this palette. Altogether, you get 12 shadows for $44. Now, if you have another palette that is very similar to this, like I've heard that the Anastasia Sultry palette is very similar to this, this is definitely a neutrals palette. So if you have 800 of these, you may not need this. If you like the colors in this one, then I definitely think it's worth it if you want another neutrals palette, because it's very, very pretty. And I do like that they added more mattes in here. Now, even some of the ones that look matte, like Boundaries, are more of a satin. But honestly, there are way more mattes in this than they typically have in the Naked palettes. So I really, really like that, especially like these last three are really pretty. And you could do very easily a natural everyday look with those three shades alone and like be set if you don't like using shimmer like on an everyday basis. And if you don't use shimmer on an everyday basis, can I ask why not? It just sparkles. They bring such joy into my life. Anyway, that is it for this kind of little try on. I would definitely say this is a very nice quality palette from Urban Decay. I'm very happy that I purchased it and am including it in my collection, and I will be doing more looks with this here and there over the coming weeks. If you guys have any requests of looks you would like for me to try or do with this palette, please let me know, and I would be happy to do that for you guys. If you like this video or are at least impressed that I've managed to film 2 days in a row straight while being ridiculously sick, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, please make sure to subscribe to my channel. You can also keep up with me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm pretty much everywhere, and all the links for those are down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you again very, very soon. Bye.